One. Welcome back. I'm Alfred Lamont Weber, and here we are with scientist Chris Burres and outreach director Patty Greer and C60Evo ESS60. It's extraordinary because I was saying to people who were inquiring, because they said, Alfred, how do you do this? I'm involved with a tribunal with 30 judges over four continents. And they say, Alfred, how do you do this? And I said, I have to tell you, my fuel is ESS60, C60.Evo. And that's how I've been able to do this extraordinary productivity. And so I turn it over to you, scientist Chris Burres and Patty Greer, but I swear by it. I mean, I could not do what I do without it. But we have some very interesting questions for this week's program. Please.
Yeah, so I would say that we do get that testimonial very regularly about people's productivity increasing. I may have even shared that on one particular instance. We've got a video testimonial where the same day, the lady who provided the testimonial was like, I only drank half of my cup of coffee today, right? And if you're out there and you're a coffee drinker, like, when you drink half of a cup of coffee versus a full cup of coffee, you're paying attention. And so that testimonial was pretty powerful in terms of how much energy she got from the product. And that was on day one. And then you have kind of longer term. We also have just productivity. I often joke that one of our worst testimonials that's still pretty powerful is I noticed that I cleaned my garage, right? A project that had been plaguing, in this case, a lady by the name of Gwen for a very long time. And she actually was 3 months into using the product and would have, at that point said, I'm not sure I've really noticed anything. And then kind of stopped and took stock of her life and was like, I'm working a little bit later. I'm getting up a little bit earlier, which is not my normal. I'm not normally a morning person. And again, I kind of facetiously say it's the worst testimonial for a supplement ever. I cleaned my garage. But I think that fits in line with that sense of productivity and parallels. And I think I've shared before, and maybe we'll share it later, like my whole kind of situation with naps, where I used to take 2 naps on Saturdays and Sundays, and now I just don't nap.
That's awesome. Well, I've been taking a tablespoon a day for 3.5 years, and I'm 5'2". So that's a lot of ESS60 for a little person. And I was bragging to someone today that I think I'm the only one left from ufology, from the days of great speakers and researchers. They're all gone. But I lived, and I give credit to C60Evo. I do. And it was funny. Today I was at the dentist, and I finally gave in and said, oh God, okay, just do full x-rays, So he said, it's been 9 years. So I felt like, wow, Patty, naughty. So he did this whole thing of x-rays, and he smiles and he says, you have no cavities. You have no nothing. What are you doing? And I said, ESS60, I swish it in my teeth. And he said, whatever it is, I'd like to see some of it. So you'll see an order go out to a dentist in Boulder, a great dentist. But he said, I got to get my pig. And he started probing at all my gums. And he just was like, wow, this is really interesting. It's really done amazing things for your gums. So I was like, yeah, I know. So I gave him the website and I said, you'll get a complimentary bottle. But basically all the medical people, and this has been my year to play catch up for, a decade of ignoring doctors and dentists because of my feelings about the old ways of doing business and medicine. So I didn't have a choice all of a sudden. There are things I just needed to take care of. But the amazing thing is, I don't know how, but I'm banging. Oh, yes, I do. This is how. So last night, I go to bed at 8. Basically, I'm kind of like my bobcat. He's wild. I'm wild in the house. But we both go down with the sun. We get up with the sun. And there's not much in between, except that I go down at 8 And then I get up at midnight, and last night I was like, okay, I'll just go drink my go to bed tea. And, so I drink my tea and it didn't work. So at 5, I was like, oh, for crap's sake. So I got up with 4 hours of sleep. And 2 hours before this show, I was going to call Chris and say, oh man, maybe 3 hours. I can't do it. I am just bone weary. I'm too tired. That's why you saw me start with my glasses. I'm like, I got, but really that was like psychosomatic, because I took a bunch of ESS60 or Evo on my way to the dentist. And I thought, la, la, la. And I get there and I'm perky, and now I'm just wired. So to take a tablespoon midday, not the best idea. On the other hand, I want to kind of push myself to start going to bed at 10 or 9, so that maybe I can change my pattern. But ESS60 works for sleep for a lot of people. I have so much on my mind right now. I'm amazed I can walk and talk at the same time. But that's what makes life fun. And I am super grateful for this product. And we also just introduced this amazing facial serum, which you guys have seen me, on Alfred's show. My gosh, we've been doing shows for over 10 years. But I have had, I've never had skin that was all the same color. And all of a sudden, my skin is all the same color. And I was using the drips whenever I would, take my spoon. I'd always wipe the spoon and rub it on my face. And it's so moist, it's in olive oil. How nice with the ESS60. But I started finding that my skin was improving. So I worked on Chris for a while, and we hired the formulator, and I started with an herbalist to get all the little magical ingredients, and then a formulator to make it vegan, organic, whatever we couldn't do that, we did natural. But 21 products went into this, and it is one of our miracles. I'm totally impressed by it, and we are selling the heck out of it. I don't know if Chris has noticed, but we are selling a lot of C60Evo Advanced Facial Serum because it works. And I think the most remarkable thing that I'm enjoying about our business is the reorders. When you sign up for a subscription, yeah, you get 20% off, but if you don't love it, you cancel. People don't cancel. And our business just has been building because people sign up, they get the discount, and then they stay with it. And it's a sign of it works. This is a product that works. And now our facial serum works. So super fun. And we have this gift set that we've been promoting. Today's the last day. We have a flash sale on our Facebook page, C60Evo Facebook, but 20% off everything. And I think this set is, of course, included, but it's the facial serum for your skin and the Evo for your body. And the combination is really kick-ass. So that's our big Christmas special, and everything's 20% off right now. And use Alfred's code to get another 5% off, or whatever it is that you have on your code. We gave you a landing page, whatever it says. I mean, everybody has discounts. It's Christmas.
Right. We'll put that link in the chat here, because that helps Exopolitics TV, and we very much appreciate your sponsorship. We actually came up with an interesting issue that we wondered if there were any scientific data, because I of course am, having met Buckminster Fuller of the Fullerene back in the 70s, and he was a great influence, helped found the World Good News Network, of which Exopolitics TV is a part. And it's very interesting to have the fullerene molecule here on the World Good News Network, which Buckminster Fuller also founded. There's a certain synchronicity to that. And that is that does ESS60 have the same effects on all humans, or are there differential effects on different types of humans as to others? Because I've noticed that there's some people that really thrive on it, because I'm always telling the people, hey, listen, I'm doing this thing, which is fantastic, and really, you should try it. But then there are other people who, I interact with them all the time, and I say, what about this? And they're very resistant to it. And I thought it was a matter of awareness, but then they said, no, we tried it and it just didn't feel right. And I just wondered, is ESS60, is it across the board? Does it have the same effect on all humans? Or are there individual differences? Do you have science on that or not? This is an open question because we are dealing with a new science. I think that this is an open science as far as life extension, etc.
Yeah, well, so it's an interesting question, right? So you've got, I think, the people who tend to walk away from the product fit in two categories. So one is, you mentioned kind of before we got on air, like people will say, oh, this doesn't agree with me. And in a second, I'll ask you to kind of expound if they provided any additional information. I think it's interesting because Patty and I were on a podcast recently, and we were asked to kind of critique another broadcast that was talking about C60. And in this case, they weren't talking about ESS60, they were talking about C60. And just so we have kind of clarity on the difference, C60 is for industrial applications, and there's peer-reviewed public research that supports if you improperly process C60, it's harmful. ESS60 is C60 that's been processed for safer human consumption. In this case, they were talking about C60, and one of the participants in the broadcast that we were critiquing was like, yeah, I often give speeches, and when I'm in a room giving a speech, I'll ask the participants like who has tried C60s, as most of the people have, and who's noticed a positive benefit from C60. And he said most of the people had, and then said, that's not usual. And so I was like, well, I think that's not usual when you're leaning only on the placebo effect, right? Because I think at some point you're like, is this really working for me? I'm going to start paying attention to my sleep. I'm going to start paying attention to pain or whatever inflammation I'm experiencing. I'm just going to pay attention to those things. And eventually I'm going to go, oh, it's really not doing anything. If it's really just placebo. I gave the example. I don't think there's many people who would sit in a room and go, has anybody here tried an antibiotic? The answer would be yes. Has anybody noticed a positive benefit from an antibiotic that they've ever taken? And everybody would say yes. That's because it works. So that's what my kind of summary of that situation was. It's not unusual for a product that works to actually have a room full of people say they've tried it and they've noticed a positive difference. So we look at, does it affect everybody the same way? Well, I think we're pretty sure that a lot of medicines don't affect people the same way. By the way, this is not a medicine, and it's a good time for our disclaimer. The FDA has not evaluated our product. It's not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. I would suggest that not only is it true that not all medicines help all people, that also not all supplements help people. We know that not all food sits the same with all people, right? There's people who are lactose intolerant. There are people who aren't. People who are allergic to peanuts, people who aren't. And so really, Patty and I know that we're getting amazing results, that people are giving us amazing testimonials, and neither one of us is under the delusion that this is going to help absolutely everyone. And I would say that I have a lot of conversations. I see a lot of Patty was talking about how people sign up for a subscription and just stay on subscriptions. I mean, they usually don't just stay on subscriptions. They actually end up sharing it with their friends, and then their friends get on subscriptions, and so on and so on. It reminds me of, there's a commercial, I don't know if you guys remember, and I tell two friends, and so on, and so on. That was like a shampoo and conditioner commercial. I don't know if neither one of you is nodding, so I'm thinking you didn't.
Texas.
Survey says. So that's what tends to happen with our product. Given like all the data that it really, and this is, I'm not compiling data, I'm just kind of paying attention. I would say that there's maybe a 1 to 3% of people that this really doesn't work for. I'm reasonably convinced that a lot of people who say, well, let me ask you this, Alfred, because before we got on air, it was some people described it as not agreeing with me. And there's one way, which could just be the oil and how it sits on your stomach. But there could be others. And I had the impression that it didn't agree with them in other ways. Did they give you any more information?
You know, I didn't get as much information as I would like. I tend to be scientifically minded, so I'm really thirsty for scientific studies as to what the effect of ESS60 is on the human, and as to why humans would forgo it. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Given all the stresses that we're under now, it doesn't make sense to me why a human would forgo this opportunity.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I can't make that calculation. Do you have any thoughts on this, Patty?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Chris actually made me pull out what's called a cuss box. That's my grandfather's in my house. And it's an antique little wooden thing that says cuss box. And every time you swear, you have to drop a quarter in it. And Chris got me trained to use the cuss box every time I said C60, as if that's a cuss word, because once we changed the general meaning of carbon 60, which is industrial, some of it might be good enough for humans, but not all of it. And some of it's from China, and some of it's sonicated, some of it's in water. But ESS60 is only pure C60 from our lab, SES Research, our parent lab. So every time we're on a show and I say C60, Chris goes, I have to go put a quarter, in the cuss box. But I'm pretty well trained now. And even Rob corrected me recently, our other partner, because ESS60 is the evolution of C60. It's where you don't have to question it. And I didn't question the industry. I just knew that our product was really having a different effect than most of the other products, certainly than any product I had ever taken. And a lot of the people that, even Philip Hillis, who's with the C60 Research Society, and he's like one of the oldest Facebook groups on C60, he was taking other brands. And I kind of egged him, and I offered him a free bottle, and he's like, no, I don't want anything free. And he still won't even do a discount. He buys like the big 16-ounce bottles. But it took a little while, and I'm not pushy, but I like to say to people, would you be willing to just try it and compare it to what you're taking now? Just to be fair. I can't say I know how good or it is or isn't what you're taking, but try this. And so he's been loyal ever since. And he writes these big, long testimonials, and he's a really knowledgeable guy. So we're getting testimonials from the right people. But Chris and Robert, early this year, when everybody went into lockdown, they're so fidgety and busy that they got busy and ordered 22 products from all these different companies online and took them into the lab like mad scientists and tested every single one of them in the HPLC machine, which is called
high performance liquid chromatography,
which measures the concentration of ESS60 or C60 in your formula. So if you don't have that machine, you're only going to guess when you mix your products and send it out to customers. If you don't have that machine, you're not going to really know. You're guessing by color or time, or you think you measured it pretty close. That's what's mostly online. But when I saw the setup of these guys in Texas, we became partners quickly. And when they see how fast my mouth moves and my brain goes, they were like, okay, we can do this. So when they tested 22 products, and now I'm getting quizzed. And while Chris was out of town, I got 2 emails, which I sent to you. But I'm going to ask you on the air because people are asking, and we have to be so careful. But people want to know, don't claim you tried 22 and they were all woefully low, but yours. Give us evidence. So I kind of, threw it back to Randy Moggins, the other host, and I said, Chris is out of the country, which you were, and but people want an answer. How can we best answer it without getting sued?
Well, so I think there's two things, a couple of things, right? So we're the most reputable company in the business. We've been manufacturing carbon 60 since 1991. Our company name is actually mentioned in the original peer-reviewed published research that proved that our product extended the life of test subjects, in this case, Wistar rats, by 90%. So we are absolutely the creme de la creme of credibility in this market. So we run into a couple of issues. We've actually run into it in those people who are asking for this specific evidence. I can give you a printout and I can give you numbers, and that actually opens me up to liability, right? Legal liability. But those people who typically those people are asking for the numbers are the kind of people who are going to then go, well, how'd you get this number? Right? And then the next thing is, well, how do you know that's the best way to test it? I literally have people who have asked me. I did a video on a product, C60.com. I don't believe in negative marketing. That's one of the reasons I'm not really talking about the numbers and who's the specific numbers are for. But I don't do negative marketing. I did a video about this particular product and actually two other products, because the products don't have C60 in them at all. There is no C60 in those products. And so I don't feel like I'm doing negative marketing in my industry. I feel like I'm just exposing somebody for selling something that they don't sell at all, like that doesn't have C60. They're not in my industry. When I exposed this particular product, C-60.com, as not having C60 in it, the process is really simple. I just filtered it. And when I filtered out all the dark stuff that's in the product, the video is available online, clear sunflower oil came through. When you mix C60 or ESS60, which is the only one I would mix. By the way, sunflower oil is not a good oil. But if you mix ESS60 or C60 in sunflower oil, it turns purple. This is a fact. There's no debate here. This isn't like, oh, this is because of something else. And I'll be honest, the responses that I got from that in some cases were like, well, it turns purple because there's solvents in it. No, that's actually factually false. And so really to come out and like release these numbers and these charts is just going to open us up to not only legal liability, but really a number of inane comments. And I apologize to any audience member who might be offended by that. Just know we're reputable. We've been doing this since 1991. I mean, just to give you the landscape of how we have operated from 1991 really until 2000 and late 2017, early 2019, we only sold to research institutions around the world. Literally, if you're aware of a university or a private research institution, like IBM has a massive research lab. And if those institutions did research on fullerenes, we sold them, at least some of them, if not all of the fullerenes. Now, when we sell to an institution like IBM and their research department, the first thing they do is they take that product, in this case, C60 is a powder, industrial C60 is a powder, they give it to one of their lab assistants and they go back to their HPLC. They use the protocols that are available in the research literature, and they confirm that what we sold them was what we said we sold them. So from 1991 until late 2017, we only sold to people who could actually confirm what we sell to them. That's in our pedigree. If we don't deliver a good product, that assistant tells the researcher, that IBM researcher calls us up and says, what are you guys doing here? Like, this is junk. This isn't 99 or 99.99. This is nothing. And that's not, like, we wouldn't be in business again since 1991 if we weren't selling high quality products. That's in our pedigree. So you can know that now we're mixing ESS60 in oils and we're selling it to the public, and you can know that that same pedigree is behind it. I know that doesn't answer your question in any way. I just want you to be comfortable and understand that there's legal liability in publishing those numbers. And then really the people who don't have faith in us aren't going to believe the numbers anyway.
Well, it did answer the question. And that's why I asked it in this order, because a lot of people that say, yeah, I tried C60, it didn't do anything. Well, they probably tried the low concentration C60 or the no concentration. So there's many companies that really are putting it on the label, but not in the bottle. And put your money where your mouth is. Learn how to do it right. Get the machine, set up a real lab, and then get out there on the market. But because it is so new and exciting, kind of like stem cell therapy, it's new and exciting and it works. But you got to go to the right place. You got to get the right doctors. You got to go to the pedigree place for your carbon 60. You just do, or you're going to be running the risk of perhaps taking no C60, even though the label says it, or C60 from Wuhan, China. I've had 3 invitations in the last year to buy from Wuhan, and 99.99% from Wuhan, China. No, thank you. We have our own lab. Thank you very much. And, Chris and Rob sell to a lot of other companies, maybe, that are doing products that could compete with ours, as long as they're running the proper protocols. It's hard to say who's doing what, but I think a lot of the answer to your question, Alfred, with people that say, I didn't feel anything, I didn't notice anything, probably got a crap product. If you had our C60 Evo olive oil at 0.8 or 0.86% max concentration, you're going to get a buzz like I am right now. I mean, I feel like I had a second cup of coffee and I was driving in my sleep to the dentist, and all of a sudden it kicked in. I was like, oh, great. Now I'm going to be perky. But, then it was really nice to get such a good report because I'm using it. I'm swishing it sometimes in my mouth, not for very long, not like oil pulling, but a few swishes and then I swallow it. And it really helps strengthen my gums. And he noticed. So it was really cool. And he noticed enough to say, I'd like your website. And I said, here's the website and I'll send you a bottle. So, the more doctors that can try it and get on it, I've turned on a lot of doctors lately, physical therapists, because if you're into sports, if you are a rock climber, if you are anybody that's doing exercise at an extreme level, dancing, and you get, hung over in the morning with joint aches, this stuff works. It works really, really well.
Yeah, I do want to add, because you talked about strengthening gums, and I'm kind of the scientific gatekeeper of FDA qualifications. We have not been evaluated for strengthening gums, and if you get those benefits, we're not anticipating those benefits. There's something that you might get, but it's up to each individual.
Well, it was fun hearing Richard Serrett, even though it's not certified, say that his eye doctor was stunned by his checkup, something that doesn't cure and doesn't get better, and his got better. And it's not the first time I've heard that. And when it comes from a doctor, it's pretty wonderful. And those are the doctors that get a bottle from me, because the more doctors that know about it, the more they can help their clients.
Absolutely.
Right. So that would argue for, not argue, but that would suggest that you may want to look at having an outreach to that sort of doctor. Have you thought about that?
Oh yeah. And I know Patty's the hustler. It's a great partnership that we have together. But yeah, we've had conversations about how do you go after, maybe it's a chiropractor, maybe it's a naturopath, maybe it's a physician, or in this case, a dentist or an eye doctor.
Yeah, because we here would very much enjoy having, say, any sort of a practitioner in these interviews, like a physician or a dentist or even an eye doctor. Or I know that right now during COVID, that would be very difficult, right? Because of all the stress that all the medical profession is under. And and all of these, well, I'm in Canada, so I'm just going to say it, that for me, ESS60, for me, in my personal opinion, is a great prophylaxis against whatever that they're trying to say is a pandemic. And I say that as a person who has a certificate from the Harvard School of Public Health. And I've studied this, quote, pandemic, which does not qualify as to the technical definition of pandemic in depth. So anyway, that if you would like to bring medical or dental or ophthalmologists or others to these interviews, we certainly would be receptive to that and would enjoy it very much. And I think that would, I think that the audience would find that very reassuring and very interesting. Also, I'm just kind of tossing that out as a suggestion. That's all.
I had to put on my glasses because your skin looks so amazing. And I've known you for a long time, and you said that you're in your mid to upper 70s. Your skin looks amazing, more than ever. I mean,
it always blows me away that in about 18 months, I'm going to be 80 years old. And wow. I look in the mirror and I said, you know, this is not my concept of being 80 years old, either internally in my mind or externally.
You look great.
Yeah. And I think that this is a dialogue that Chris and Patty we've been having, but I think that ESX60 does expand one's concepts. It's not only good for your sleep, it's good for your mind. And I say that as a graduate psychotherapist. I'm not only a graduate lawyer, but I'm a graduate psychotherapist. It's good for your mind.
I agree. I think it's very mentally balancing. And I put that in a lot of the ads. We use the term mental acuity, better sleep and mental acuity.
And if you look at, you know, the benefits of better sleep, they really are just profound. You know, it impacts your intellectual capacity, your ability to remember things. It impacts your cardiovascular health, your body's ability to process sugar and insulin. I mean, sleep is so very important. And I'll often say, and I'm sure I've said on this to your audience before, that if all it's doing is giving you better sleep, we really don't need to ask anything more. Like, we just don't need to, because it's so good. It's like the best restorative and healing medicine you can possibly have is better sleep.
Better sleep, better day tomorrow. And if not, take another spoonful.
Right.
Well, I was talking with a friend this morning, and I said, you know, in a world full of so much suffering, you've done really well. I've done really well this year. And I started thinking about all the people around me, and I said, you know, I hear on social media about, you know, and we know there's many people suffering, but I'm thinking, wow, all the people that are close around me are really moving forward. We've all done, you know, amazing things this year, even though, and I realized, oh God, and we're all taking product. So there is something very proactive in a product that's good, that's antibacterial, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. I mean, it's against all these anti-free radicals, basically anti-aging. And that's what you're gonna get. So the misunderstanding, the cusp box, is because C60 and ESS60 now, this is the evolution over here, because this got muddied. There's too many questionable products out there right now, and you can't tell unless they show you their lab or they show evidence that they've done the testing. When their bottle says maximum purity, it's like, well, is that 0.8 for olive oil? Is that 0.35 for coconut MCT? Like, who's maximum? Like what? So we put the number on it. You know,
Well, there's one, just talking about maximum concentration, there's one product out there or one company that makes two products. One of them has 30 mils, the other one has 60 mils. Both have the exact, on the box, say the exact same quantity of C60, and both say maximum concentration. Now it's either one is the maximum concentration or the other one with less concentration is not the like, but it's just scientifically inaccurate. And there's so many others. Patty, you were talking about maybe they took a product that didn't have the right concentration. Well, I did a super simple calculation on a product in capsules that I found on Amazon, and the label on Amazon was saying, oh, if you just take 2 of these capsules, you know, that'll be a proper serving. And the reality is, in order to get what we recommend as a serving, you need to take 20. So they were taking, potentially anybody who was buying that product and taking 2 capsules was getting 1/10 of what we would recommend, assuming maximum concentration.
we also had one company that's they spend a fortune promoting, but they don't have a lab or a machine, and they had 1/10 of the avocado oil C60 concentrations. It said 0.6, but it was 0.06.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, a lot of people can talk big, but for me, I want a lab. I don't want to hear gossip anymore about the government and all these changes about the election. I want to see evidence. You know, that's me. Everybody's different, but I think that we're at a time where we really need to find integrity in a world that's very challenged. So when your mind is more balanced, when your clarity is more clear, you're going to be able to see people better and make better choices. And I'm very, very grateful to be taking this product because I feel like it keeps me on my toes. So,
Yeah. So people are, you know, let's say a person is looking at this, how can I get hold of this? So teach a person who's looking at this, how can they order this and how can they get it to their into their hands?
go to our website and read up on it. We've got the about page, the benefits page, a lot of benefits, you know, how it'll help you maybe. But again, the one thing that I think that we didn't address, which Alfred had kind of asked, that some people are not affected greatly by even good ESS60. So there might be people that start on our product and say, ooh, I got a little queasy. That happened to me in the beginning also, because you start to detox. You know, it goes in and it's scavenging for free radicals and then it's neutralizing them. That can't feel good in the beginning if you're super toxic, which I was. So, you know, a lot of times you might get headaches if you're prone to have headaches because you're working on this zone. The ESS60 goes into every cell of your body, doesn't it, Chris?
Well, yes, because we know it interacts with the mitochondria, and every one of your cells actually has a mitochondria component. It's interesting to note that each drop of our product actually has 100 times more ESS60 molecules than you have cells in your body. Like, we're talking about really amazing possibilities.
Wow. Well, the proof is in the pudding. You know, Chris is a scientist. I'm an experimenter. And when I started loading it on my face, I was like, well, you know, I'm home a lot. It's pandemic. So I'm either going to get really good or really bad results. And then we formulated a facial serum that's actually making a difference. And it's a combination of just learning how to work with the product. My 90-year-old mom, she at first, and she spends a fortune on her facial products and her skin looks incredible for 90. And so I sent her, you know, a sample bottle and we started the facial serum. She's like, oh, I got all my product. Mom, for a week. Give me your face, use this product. So after the first week, she was like, yeah, it's as good as all the stuff I'm using, you know, nothing that different. But what it did for my lips, she said, I had this scaly, you know, for years and nothing worked. And my lips are like baby butt. She didn't say that, but she said they're super soft. So I started playing with the lip stuff, and now my lips are kind of no more scales. So, you know, we're kind of moving into listening to people, how their body reacts. And coming up soon is going to be our lip renewal because it works. And if it works on lips, which is the most delicate skin on your body, I would imagine, then it's going to really be doing a number on you. So if you're taking it on the inside and putting it on the outside, in my opinion, and I'm not a scientist, all I know is I'm looking better than maybe I have in 30 years, you know, on my skin at least. And my personality is a lot sweeter because what a year. Oh my God. Boom, boom, just getting stuff fixed. But I'm like the ever ready bunny. All the procedures that I've had done, I'm done and I'm like, wait, why doesn't this hurt? And I'm still asking, why didn't any of them hurt? So many benefits. And those are 8 of mine. So how to get it? Go to our website to study it. Go to the link below this video and get a better discount if you use Alfred's link, which is our website / Alfred's name and initials. And yeah, we recommend that you try the olive oil more than the avocado or coconut MCT. Even though they're all great, olive oil holds more ESS60 than any other oil on the market. And ESS60 is going to be the purest C60 that money can buy. So no matter what it is that C60, if you're buying from another company, great. If you love it, great. Ask them to send you a printout of their HPLC read of the product that they're claiming has maximum concentrations. And ask them where they're getting their C60 from to be sure that it's not industrial grade C60, not from Wuhan, China, and not questionable. And the preparation, I mean, there's so many questions that if I were still buying C60, not direct from the main lab in the world, I'd have questions because my body counts, my health counts. And I highly recommend all of you start asking the right questions, or better yet, try a small bottle of ESS60 and olive oil and see if you notice any difference in the buzz, in the energy, in your sleep, in your skin. See if you notice a difference and if it's an upgrade or not from the products that you might be using now if you're not on ours.
Very good. Well, we've sort of come to the end of the segment. Do you have any thoughts, sort of a sum up for the audience that you'd like to share?
I would like to add, we're rapidly coming up onto the holidays with Christmas, New Year's, and a number of other holidays. So just want to wish everybody a happy holidays. Enjoy it in this incredibly dysfunctional year. Hopefully we can look forward to a 2021 that makes up for every dysfunction that happened in 2020.
Amen to that. Yeah. I do want to mention that on our website, and it might be on Alfred's link, we have a whole page of gift sets where we put together one for the dog, one for the human. That's the dog lover set. One for the cat, one for the human. That's the cat lover set. And we discount them because you're getting 2 products. So those are discounted. And then you get another % off with Alfred's link. So right now is a really good time to save money because the products are expensive. ESS60 is literally more valuable per ounce than gold. So, we want to keep the price down. Heck, we're the ones making it, but the process is expensive. And you may as well get what you pay for. So we wish you all happy holidays. We don't know if we'll see you until till the New Year's, but this is definitely one way to take the best care of yourself and those you love.
I'm also going to add, so sometimes during the holidays, there tends to be a little bit more imbibing. And we do have a number of testimonials that suggest, and I'm using kind of careful language here, that suggest that the consumption of C60 Evo supports having less pain after imbibing too much.
That's hangover.
Yeah, hangover helper.
Yeah, we had a good hangover helper testimonial recently. I didn't share it though. It was a little pretty funny. Couldn't get up for days. And then I did my ESS60 and life was good again.
Now I can drink for days.
Right. Well, Alfred, thank you for all the support. And we hope that your clientele will take a look at you almost 80 years old and say, wait a minute, I want some of that. Because you look good. You brought your brain back like crazy. And we've all been on a difficult journey, but.
And yeah, and actually, Chris has proved in science that time starts running backwards at your DNA. Perhaps I haven't expressed it correctly, and perhaps we can get more in depth in that when we meet again in the new year.
Yeah, that would be great.
Another month of the study. Yeah, that'll be great.
Good enough then. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Alfred.
Thank you. Love
And,
y'all.
and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.